Live from San Diego, California, this is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans, by the fans. With Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eidsmo, and Mike Maciejewski, we're talking Chargers, Padres, and Aztec sports. It's time to let your voice be heard.
To run the football better. I've seen it been done with the guys that we have, the way we ran the football in the past and the way we've done it the week of practice through training camp, all those things you work on. I know we can run the football better. We will run the football better. We have to run the football better. We just got to do a better job of it on Sundays. And, yeah, there's some good defenses, but we got a good offense.
And how did that work out for us?
50 seconds to play. Through the seam, and what happens as you come up the line of scrimmage, you're almost ducked down to where the defenders can't see you. Calvin Pryor comes up from the safety position, thinks he's coming to the outside, but then all of a sudden Oliver pops through the middle, and at that point in time it's too late. This is Oliver, left side, breaking through, and there he goes. Oliver brought down inside the 25-yard line at the 22.
The little man that could. Welcome to the San Diego Sports Junkies, the show for fans,
by the fans.
And what a complete annihilation of the Jets. What a great feeling that was. You know, Rex Ryan and the Jets have owned us over the last 5 meetings at Qualcomm Stadium. They're 4-1 against the Chargers. And we just went up there, and from the opening whistle to the ending snap, we completely dominated them in every facet of the game.
This was like a heavyweight fight you were getting prepared for all week. Rex Ryan versus Chargers offense. We've come to hate Rex Ryan, obviously, over the past 5-6 years of what's gone on, field goal missing and all this other banter, talking. Man, was it good to just go out there and lay the wood to these guys. And every time we scored, it was like more, and keep the throttle down. It was awesome.
You know, Mikey wrote a great article after that game called, I think it was called, Remember When?
Anyone remember when?
Yes. And
I like the idea thing. Jason gave you the idea, by the way.
Do you remember when Rex Ryan's defense was dominating? And there was a bunch of you got to go on the website and check it out.
No, very well put together, Mikey. Good job.
But the one thing I will say that, and I was trying to say this during the article, but I didn't want to be long-winded, was I said remember when the Jets used to dominate the Chargers here in San Diego, and I think that's done. And I know it's one game, but man, that was one hell of a game.
Oh man!
I mean, when you lose 31-0, I think the momentum has changed in that series.
What a bummer in the fourth quarter when they got that bullshit pass interference penalty and they actually crossed the 50.
Yep. They're like, dang it, the 50.
I wasn't only hoping for a shutout anymore. I was hoping for them to have
annihilation.
0 plays on our side of the field. And it
pretty
was
close.
Yeah,
pretty close, man. What an overall great performance.
I will give Rex Ryan credit for not taking a field goal to avoid the shutout.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, he
could have.
He seems like that kind of guy that would take a field goal.
Yeah,
right.
That's like bunting in the ninth when there's a no hitter going.
Exactly.
You know, it's really and it's like unnecessary, right?
Yeah, I like the fact that they did. They went for the touchdown. Of course, he crossed the line of scrimmage, or they would have had one. But I agree with you. I like the fact that they didn't go for the field goal. They tried to get a legitimate score.
You know, we knew what Geno was made of. We knew that he was going to struggle.
Dog poop.
I didn't think he was going to struggle that much, to be honest. I figured he would have some success. He had 0. And then Michael Vick comes in, and again, you don't know what you're going to get out of Vick.
No,
you know what he's done in the past, right? So when he comes in, you think, okay, you know, this might be a step up. We're going to have to, you know, do a couple little things to really, you know, knock him off his kilter. And the guy went like 1 for his first 10. I mean, we just dominated in every facet.
Yeah, I had actually tweeted out towards the halftime. I said the Chargers defense better be careful. If they keep dominating like this, then they're going to put Vic in. And I didn't want them to.
Right.
It seemed to not matter, though. Just whatever they wanted to do, they
I had no problem with it. I really didn't, because you got to wonder why Geno Smith beat out Michael Vick in the first place. That makes you scratch your head. I know he was a first-round pick, but Vic has always scared you in some facet, but man, did he look old out there. And man, did they look like they didn't change a damn thing on defense. They still came after the same way they came after Geno. So
yeah, it was great.
If you guys want to let your voice be heard, give us a call, 619-866-4567. Next thing I want to talk about is the continuation of the Rivers to Gates connection.
Yes.
This never gets old to me.
No, me neither.
Rivers to Gates all year long, all day long. Bring it on.
All fantasy season long. Let's do it.
I will say, it was funny when Ladarius Green had a touchdown that got called back. I thought of Josh.
Yeah, me too.
There. I was like, Josh! Oh, no. and then we went right to Gates right after that. I'm like,
Isn't that the worst when there's a nice scoring play and there's a holding call and you're like, dang it,
But
dude.
what's the best about that is the fact that we didn't lose.
You didn't lose a beat.
Yeah, we just said, okay, I guess we'll score this way then.
yeah. And that was good. And like you said, Gates, man. I mean, he still has it. He looks slow out there. He doesn't look like the same fast Gates, but man, he's putting it together a little bit.
Geppetto, really quick in Twitter land, he said, "Laugh out loud. Only pit bulls should be scared of Vic."
Man. Cha-ching. Like, that's good, man. All right. SD Fan 83 is at work listening to us. We shout you out, buddy. SD Fan 83. Thanks
Sam G.
Yeah, thanks for he was one with the article recently. Thanks for the article.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Like we said, thanks for the chat room banter. We love it, man.
We do.
Another thing I want to bring up, obviously our list of injuries, unfortunately, keeps getting bigger. We lost another center. We just picked up, and I don't have his name off the top of my head, but we just picked up a center from Cincinnati. Off his practice squad.
Went to Notre Dame with Chris Watt.
Yep, Chris Watt and Manti Te'o knows him as well. So
but
you got a lot of golden
Notre Dame,
domers
though,
there.
The interesting thing is he played guard. He didn't play center there.
Right.
So, we'll have to see. But he was on the active roster. I think he's been in the league 2 years.
He actually has played in live games. Yep.
But the good news is Ornberger's back at practice today.
Yes.
So
that's great
huge.
news. That's great news.
I screwed up with the texting earlier, guys. I said that he was full participation. I guess he's limited, but the encouraging thing is he's just practicing.
SD Fan 83 Robinson is the guy.
Did he give him a full load?
I think it's Kevin Robinson, I believe. I'm not sure.
Did they give him a full load at practice?
Oh boy, that was part of
We're
our
gonna
fantasy
continue that,
banter.
huh?
I heard that part. I was like, whoa.
Hey-o.
Chargers bring back Ronnie Brown. I was kind of shocked to hear that. Obviously he's been with the Texans. He's on their roster. I didn't think that this was possible, but maybe they released him in the last couple days.
They released him a week ago,
and just in perfect time. Bring him back because the guy, he has talent, and he makes guys miss. He can catch really well out of the backfield, so I'm really glad to see that the Bolts picked him back up.
Another key to him, too, is a blitz pickup. He's a very good blocking running back, and even for an older back, he doesn't need to run the football effectively to be effective on the field.
He's played with Rivers for 2 years, so they know each other. He's not going to do anything dynamic. I know he had that big run last year, but he's just gonna be another piece that we need there, and some more depth. He's going to also bring knowledge, but he's not going to. I got to think between him and Oliver. Oliver's going to probably have the better runs, but I definitely think that he's going to add something to us. I'm really happy, and he also. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Mikey.
No, I was going to say, the one thing that got me thinking, someone said it on Twitter, I don't know if it was one of you guys or somebody else, one of our followers, but they said, what does this mean moving forward for the running back position? Because you have Matthews coming back in a week or two.
Right.
You signed Brown, you have Drawn, you have Oliver. I mean...
Well, you got to replace one. I think Drawn's probably the easy guy to go, sorry.
Right.
But yeah, you got to. I think you keep Ronnie Brown the rest of the year, and I think what Jason was saying before the show is he had the choice to go to Denver.
Denver was courting him.
Yeah, Denver was courting him, and he chose to come to San Diego, which makes you feel good because it's kind of like, hey, I was there last year. We had a lot of success, and I believe in Phillip Rivers and this Charger team when he could have gone and played with Peyton Manning too. So that's a big choice right there. I mean. Whose Super Bowl team do I want to be on this year, right? So he came and joined the Chargers train.
Shout out to Darren and Cisco, just joined us in the chat room. Thanks a lot, guys.
I want to continue the shout-out role, and I want to shout out the Die Hard Bolt Club, Big Brian, Cali Comfort, Mike Costa, SoCal Trav, for all you guys being down at H3 and Qualcomm before the Jets game, interacting with us during the show, partying up with us beforehand. It was a great atmosphere. We were on Fox 5 News.
Yeah, that's right.
It just was a great environment all the way around. There's a lot of interactions. Just a lot of really diehard fans back there that were supporting each other in every facet. It was just a really good time.
Yeah, it was great. And then having people come up, we gave Cali Comfort a shout out for giving out some $50 gift cards.
Yep.
And if you haven't been to Cali Comfort, it's in Spring Valley. You got to get there, get a fishbowl. I know you guys mentioned the good old fishbowl in the fantasy show, and get the barbecue, man. It's delicious.
Yeah. So the Die Hard Bolts Club will be, I believe, at Cali Comfort this week too.
They are
this Sunday too.
Big Brian and the Die Hard Bolt Club will be at Cali Comfort for a Oakland Raiders ass beating.
Yes.
So come on down to Cali Comfort and join the Die Hard Bolt Club and the rest of the Die Hard Charger
and we'll
fans.
be back down there this season. We're going to be doing a couple more shows from there.
October 26th, I believe, will be our next visit to Cali Comfort, and that will be for their 5th annual amateur barbecue cook-off. It is a Sunday after the Broncos game that's on Thursday night. So come on down there. We got a lot of things planned for that day. So come on down, win some prizes, eat some great barbecue, hang out with some Bolts fans. It's going to be a great atmosphere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
One thing we haven't talked about, guys, is Brandon Oliver. I mean, we came into this game. We all sat there at the stadium. We all sat here on Wednesday and thought, there's no way we can run on this Jets defense. Mike Costa came in there, and even he kind of agreed. He said, I don't see us running over this Jets defense. And lo and behold,
well, and
we ran over
it's
them.
crazy. It took an injury for Brandon Oliver to get an opportunity. It's unfortunate that Donald Brown goes down. We all know that he's a good veteran back. But what a spark plug! What a guy to come in here and get some energy pumping through this offense. And even when there wasn't a big hole, he seemed to find a crease and got the 4 or 5 yards. He ran hard, guys.
Right.
He ran really hard. I think the emphasis was just pounding ground.
I don't think he needs a big hole because he's so
He
small.
does. You're right. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You are right.
Yeah, I know, but that was.
But did you see any gaping holes for him? No,
No.
I didn't.
On one play, I did.
The
touchdown,
touchdown
for
run,
sure.
That was a big hole.
And then a 50-yard run, too.
And kind of like we were talking about last week, we said that the Chargers need to run around the tackle. Because the O-line isn't open up a whole bunch of holes.
Edge. Yeah.
And Brandon Oliver running off that left side, he got a good 35-yard run there. So, there's a lot of things that obviously they worked on between, the last week and this Jets matchup. And, they made it work. And I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see Ronnie Brown in there. And I'm really excited to watch us just absolutely beat the crap out of the Raiders.
That's going to be fun.
Cisco made a good point in the chat room. He says the offense hasn't stopped rolling even with the injuries, and he's excited to see what happens when the starters get back. Us too.
And you know what? The good thing about it is the fact that our backups are playing exceptional.
Right.
So we know that when our starters come back, obviously we're not going to skip a beat. But if, God forbid, one of them falls down, the guy that's going to step up has stepped up in a big way, like Cavell Connor and those characters stepping up in a big way and making big plays.
Well, we said this in the preseason. We said Telesco has brought in depth. The biggest thing that we complained about last preseason was we didn't have the depth.
Yep.
And the biggest thing we talked about this preseason was, boy, look at all the depth he's bringing in. He, when he brought in Cordero Law and Cavell Connor and even Donald Brown, they said all these people are for depth, and maybe they're not the biggest, flashiest signings, but these are all people that are going to be contributing, and that's exactly what they're doing right now.
So Geppetto makes a good point, and the thing with Mike McCoy and Tom Telesco, they don't let the media or anybody really know what their plans are.
I love that.
As far as injuries. So his point was, not to mention, guys, Chargers worked out 2 more running backs today. The question is why. So is the injury to Donald Brown more serious? Are they looking at Ryan Matthews being further down this year? What is it? What do you guys think?
And that's the first thought I had when I saw first of all they signed Ronnie Brown because again you have Matthews coming back in a week or two.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Yeah. We don't know.
Also right here, also following that conversation on Twitter, Sam G. He mentions maybe Drawn isn't working out well.
Right.
So that's another point. Maybe they're going to look. He's not expensive to cut. It's probably unguaranteed.
Right. And who would have thought we would have been talking about this at going into week 6 now? For me, it's crazy. Thinking about we just signed Ronnie Brown again. Think about that for a minute. Woodhead goes down. We already know all this, but for the depth, and then you sign a Sean Drawn. We're getting guys off the street now, and we're going, well, okay, it just makes sense to sign Ronnie Brown. He knows the offense, pickups, everything else, but it's encouraging to see that he chose us over the Broncos, and that added running back depth for us. It really helps out.
Absolutely. And we're going to dive more into this Jets matchup. We're going to take a quick break. We got Jake Hefner from BoltBeat.com that's going to give us Jake's take on the other side of the break.
Okay, you fantasy football players in San Diego, you know what time it is. It's your time on the Fantasy Corner of San Diego Sports Junkies. I'm your host, Steve-O, and thank you for tuning in every Wednesday to enjoy some fantasy football smack talk with myself and the rest of the Sports Junkies. Now that preseason's over, I encourage you, our valued listener, to tune in weekly for your starts and sits and my sneaky free agent pickups of each week. So throughout the week, hit me up on Twitter at FantasyCorner17, or you can email me at thefantasycorner17@gmail.com. And always stay locked in Wednesdays on the Fantasy Corner at www.SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com/fantasy. Bring it. By my side, and mentally we gotta be free. I see the wickedness coming.
San Diego, stand up and represent for your very own NFL Gladiators, the San Diego Superchargers.
What up, Bolt Nation? We got Mr. Live, Jake Hefner from BoltBeat.com. Jake, welcome to the show, bud.
Thanks for having me back. Wait, hang on a second. Are we fully functional?
We are. We have our producer back.
Did everybody hear me this time?
Yes. Well, we've always been able to hear you. Hopefully the chat room will let us know what's going on. But we got Jason back, so hopefully all those bugs have been worked out, and we can run a dominating show like we do each and every Wednesday.
Absolutely. Let me just say real quick, it was a pleasure joining you gentlemen down there at the queue in the parking lot, as well being joined by Costa, throwing out his opinions as well. It was a great time, great atmosphere from the Chargers fans, and of course the result was the icing on the cake.
Absolutely, man. From the moment I woke up to now, it still is a great feeling that we were able to go in there and just handle Rex Ryan and the Jets.
It's kind of like beating the Raiders. We've built up this hatred for the Jets the last few years, and it's a little bit better when we beat the Jets. It really is. Absolutely.
So Jake, let's dive right into the action, and first and foremost, you want to shout out Mr. Pagano, the brainstorm of this dominating defense.
Absolutely. I mean, it's simple to say the final score 31-0. Anytime that you can have that type of a dominating performance on defense, the kudos are going to go to you, hands down. Pagano just had a perfect game plan. Fantastic coverage. He pressured the quarterbacks, disrupted timing with the receivers. The Chargers lead the league right now in quarterback hurries and pressures with 100 through the first 5 weeks. That is an unbelievable stat considering where they came from last year when they were struggling to get to the passer. The Chargers turned the ball over twice. They held Geno Smith to a 7 quarterback rating in the game.
Wow.
Held the running game to only 68 yards rushing when this is a team that's come in the second highest rushing team in the league, averaging 151 yards, and you did your job on the ground and kept it underneath 100. Also, the offense didn't cross into Chargers territory until the fourth quarter. Are you kidding me?
That's crazy.
That is unbelievable coaching by John Pagano and having all of his guys on point and ready to do their job. And let's not forget, the underlying story of all of this, the Chargers are not 100% healthy by any stretch of the imagination.
Not even close.
And you're putting in guys that are, sometimes first-time starters, some guys that are having to be forced to go to the team when they haven't been with the team that long, and you're getting the type of performance like this for a big game going against a team that was desperate for a win at 1-3. And needed every ounce of what they could do in order to get their season back on track. And you just slammed the door shut. And it was a beautiful thing to watch.
The thing that's as talented as this Chargers defense is the way that Mike is just chowing down on Jack in the Box right now. You got to see this guy. He's just throwing food down left and right.
Yeah. First his cat was dying. Now he's eating Jack in the Box.
I don't know what's going on here, but
bigger question is, what is he chowing down on?
Yeah.
Oh, the 99-cent tacos, of course.
Yeah.
Well, then that doesn't count.
No, it does
should be going for the ultimate cheeseburger.
Yes.
Well, we're on a budget here. You've
fallen on a budget, man. We're the San Diego sports flunkies.
Yeah. Quickly, you had talked about the quarterback pressures. How much credit do you give for the fact that we have Dwight Freeney back? I know he's working on a little bit of a knee injury, but I was talking to somebody earlier, and even if he's not getting the sacks, I think that he's just added so much to our defense being back out there.
It is, and Dwight, especially over the last two games, has played every snap. And it's not necessarily something that you want to see, considering his age and coming off the surgery that he had last year. But the performance that he's giving, he's given everything he's got. And yes, it is forcing the offense to focus on him, and he's had to kind of pick up that slack that the defense has missed since Melvin Ingram went down several weeks ago. But absolutely, I mean, any offense is going to have to prepare for Dwight. It doesn't matter if he's at 100% or 50%. So anytime that you can have a veteran like that with the reputation that he has is only going to help the opposite side of your line for your linebackers in order to get pressure for to the quarterback. So yeah, it's a huge factor that Dwight is still on the field.
Yeah, and adding to that, Jake, is I was reading today on somewhere that the Chargers lead the league in quarterback pressure. And even though it's not Dwight Freeney getting to the quarterback, again, he's creating that pressure, that opening for the other guys, which we had mentioned that we were looking for at the beginning of the season. He's the one creating that so everybody can get to the quarterback and pressure them, make them make bad throws, early throws, bad decisions, all that stuff.
The hurries.
All the hurries, exactly. Coming straight, but that's coming from Freeney, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's what you're seeing the Chargers do differently this year on defense is that they're setting the edge better. They are collapsing the pocket. So they may not, have all the statistical stats in the sack department, but they are doing everything else in order to disrupt the quarterback. And whether that's putting direct pressure on him, taking his timing off with his wide receivers, making him scramble outside the pocket and just forcing him into an uncomfortable situation. All of these factors go into having a successful defense and getting that offense off the field. So yes, it is a huge thing when your linebacker specifically can set the edge the way that the Chargers are doing and ordering the defensive ends like Corey Legion and Kendall Reyes to get pressure up the middle when you have to force double coverage on the outside. It's extremely tough for an offensive line and a quarterback to adapt to that type of pressure that's coming at them.
And just to add one more thing to that, Jake, if you watch the Seahawks game, they were talking about, Russell Wilson running crazy, but they showed how the Chargers contained him. And the more I looked at it, they mentioned how everybody plays their gap and plays their responsibility. I think that's the biggest thing, that these guys are coming in. They're not being asked to go out and blow up the play.
They're just doing their job.
Do your job. Stay where you are. Don't get out of position. And I think that's been the key for the success of the Chargers on defense.
Yeah, since the preseason game against Seattle, you actually haven't seen the Chargers break down in containment. They've kept everything in front of them. Remember the next week after that game against Seattle in the preseason, we had San Francisco, and we thought it was kind of going to be a similar story. And Kaepernick, and we were watching at Cali Comfort down there, And that was when it was the Corey Leggett show. And Corey had Kaepernick running for his life outside of the pocket. His timing was off. The entire San Francisco starting offense was off. And since that game, you really haven't seen the Chargers break down in containment. They did it a little bit in their first game against Arizona with Carson Palmer.
Right.
But, short little thing there. Obviously the Chargers like to have that one back a little bit. But you can just see that the mistakes are not something that's trending, and it's a good thing that you're going to have mistakes in every game, no question about it. All teams do, but the fact that the Chargers are able to learn on a weekly basis from their mistakes and fix them very, very quickly, which is not an easy thing to do in the NFL, is extremely positive.
Jake, this is Josh here. So first and foremost, we don't make the schedule. I've heard a lot of people say, the Chargers are playing well, but they've played Jacksonville, they've played the Jets, now they're going to play the Raiders. Put that aside, statistically, the Chargers are number one in the NFL in defense at 12.6 points per game. 2 touchdowns from Phillip Rivers is all we need each and every week. And then on the flip side, as far as our offense is concerned, the Chargers have the third most points scored in the league. So, this is something that we've been talking about over the last couple shows, the fact that Phillip Rivers has always been a stud, and he's going to continue to be a stud, but the one thing that we've lacked is that defensive presence. The way that Pagano's defense is playing right now, the Chargers are extremely dangerous, not only against these teams that obviously we need to beat, but we are beating, but, teams like the Broncos have to be a little concerned. Because, Phillip Rivers has already beat him with a suspect defense last year. And now you have a dominating defense that Pagano has put in, week out, and the pressure that they're getting on the quarterback, whether they're a scrambler or not, the Chargers are forced to be reckoned with.
Well, with that corner play, jeez. The corners are playing out of their mind right now. Go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry.
No, please. It's okay. The defensive secondary is what has been shored up the most, and it's just a shock and awe type of a gap that's been bridged when you see what it was last year when you had Derek Cox at the starting position, and now when you rotate in players like a Brandon Flowers and go out and draft a cornerback like Jason Verrett, and you have your returning Jaleel Addae at starting safety. And along with the progress of Sharice Wright, who's not even out on the field right now, the Chargers' defensive secondary has a much more aggressive attitude. And we've touched on this week in and week out about their physicality and how they have grown as a unit. So, yes, you know what? You're right. We don't make the schedule, but the Chargers are winning the games that they are supposed to win. It's not like they are struggling against these poor teams. And let's not forget, they started off the season against 3 of the toughest defenses in the league right now. So, and Buffalo, of all things, going to Buffalo, which is not an easy place to play, and coming away with it like you did and the ball control that you had, it's remarkable what this team is doing, and they are sticking to their guns, and everybody is doing their job, and cohesively as a team, they know what it takes to win. So yes, if Denver was not scared before for what the Chargers did in Denver last year, you have to think that they have the Chargers in the back of their heads, and both teams. Not to say that they are looking past any of their opponents right now, but they are looking forward to that game come 2-3 weeks from now when both teams could conceivably be 6-1 and contending for the top spot in the division.
Yeah. Hey, Jake, fun fact here. I heard this today. I was kind of surprised by it. But every team we faced has had a quarterback change altered either during the game or after the game, if you think about it. That's the fun fact of the day. But my question to you, isn't it crazy? To me, all of us know this. All the injuries so far, right? We've had so many injuries, and we're getting talked about as a top 3 team in the league. And I'm not a big advocate of rankings myself. When I would look down the barrel, and we're only going to get healthier as the season progresses, and our schedule gets deeper and deeper and tougher. How good can this defense be? Realistically, with a full boat of starters that were supposed to be projected this year, how good can this defense become? It could be Super Bowl worthy, and I hate to say that word because I'm a typical Charger fan. I hate that word because it's always bad juju. But how good could it be, Jake?
It's unfathomable, really, right now. And we've talked about, when guys go out and again, the Chargers have a handful of guys, it seems, that just go down every single week. And whenever we talk on Wednesdays and we're looking forward to the next game, we're always talking about that aspect. Well, this guy's not going to play, so it's going to affect the game in this type of fashion. Or they're not going to have this guy, so they're going to be depleted in this area. And it's just remarkable what they've been able to do and in the fashion that they have done it. And you have a team of guys that nobody has heard of, and they're rotating in as if they're not missing a step.
Right.
And when you have that type of depth, and this is only a testament to, again, what Tom Telesco has done to build a team from the ground up, and the players that he has selected. And I'm sure that he has also talked with Mike McCoy in the process of bringing in these type of guys. And then when you break it down to the field and how McCoy teaches them and coaches them up, rotates them in, and it's basically like almost that he assigns two jobs to every player, because it seems like anybody can play anybody's position on either the offensive or the defensive side of the ball. And that's the type of versatility and that's the type of depth you see with this team. But this team at full strength, if you're to think with all the defensive players that are out currently right now, when you get those back,
jeez, yeah,
it's kind of scary.
It's scary.
It is kind of scary. It really, really is. If you get KO back, if you get Wright back, if you get Ingram back, Reggie Walker, who's a great rotational linebacker, I don't even really want to fathom it right now because I like taking things from week to week, but like I said, it is a scary thought to have.
You know what a scary thought to have is the fact that Brandon Oliver, an undrafted free agent, comes in against, at the time, the number one ranked rushing defense and torches them for 180 all-purpose yards.
Unbelievable. We talked out in the parking lot. Even Costa said that he didn't believe that the running game was going to get fixed. We had even said that. I said that in the scouting report that I wrote last week. And some people had chimed in and they said, you know what, Donald Brown's going to come out and he's going to run for over 150 yards. And even I came out and I said back to them, I said, you know what, I hope that's exactly what happened. I hope that is the one thing that I am proved wrong on. And you heard all week Mike McCoy saying, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're still going to be going with the running game. We're not going to shy away from it. We know where we are. We know where it needs to get fixed. The offensive linemen had a meeting with each other. They knew what they needed to do to pick their running game up. And sure enough, Donald Brown gets a concussion. Running game is chipping away here and there, boom, boom, boom. And all of a sudden, at the end of the game, you have a undrafted free agent out of Buffalo who on 19 carries gets 118 yards and adds, like you said, 182 all-purpose yards. He was second on the team in receiving yards with 62 behind Malcolm Floyd. And the guy is 5'8", and he just went out and gassed the number one run defense in the league. Are you kidding me? That is a testament of both the player's commitment and the coach's commitment to what needs to be done in order to win a football game. Unbelievable job from Brandon Oliver. In my opinion, a lot of people like to say because of the number, it's easy to relate him to Darren Sproles, but personally, I think he is a Sproles and LT hybrid. I think he's got Sproles' quickness with LT's vision. It is unbelievable how he moves in free space. It is a scary, versatile back to have back there. But how happy are we to have somebody who can help move the chains like he did on Sunday?
Yeah, and I've been just listening to people saying a lot of people want to compare Oliver to Sproles, but I think the best comparison that I heard, and I heard it today on Twitter, was he's like a young Maurice Jones-Drew, small but very mighty, and because he pushed the pile a couple times. And I said it earlier jokingly,
he's
but
a load.
he's small, so he was a harder. He can hit those smaller holes, but he hits them hard and very with a lot of force.
Absolutely. He is deceptively strong on the 50-yard run that he had along the sidelines that broke loose late in the game. The stiff arm that he laid on David Harris, that was huge. That sprung him loose. Then when he scored his second touchdown, the lowest guy wins, and he went in there and boom, put his head down and walked right into the end zone, and like he wasn't even phased. He was breaking tackles, seeing the holes, creating his pathways on his own, and was able to make the most of it, and he did, and it was just a tremendous performance.
People keep comparing him to Darren Sproles. I'm getting tired of that myself. If you want to compare him to a Charger running back, I'm thinking more like James Brooks. I don't know how many people remember James Brooks, but he runs a lot like James Brooks to me.
For me, I just can't wait till Ryan Matthews can come back so we can have thunder and lightning. Because Brandon Oliver lays the wood to people. I mean, he literally gets low, and low man wins, and he's going to win every single time. I guarantee it.
Hey, Jake, quick question. Now that Ronnie Brown was signed, and I don't know what the discrepancy was there between Denver. I know Denver needed a back, and we did as well. He chose us, which is great news. But going forward, obviously Woodhead not coming back. Ryan Matthews still a few weeks out. Do you see Ronnie Brown on this team during the playoff push?
Yeah, it's going to depend on what Sean Drawn does in the end game. He got to be used a little bit towards the end of the game, give Brandon Oliver a little bit of a rest. But when you need someone back there who can pass protect, which is probably the best thing of Ronnie Brown's game right now, is that he can pass protect. There's no question about that. Despite what anybody wants to say about how old he is or how he runs now, that is the one thing that he can do well, and he knows the system. So it's a win-win from either regard. So it's a guy, and we had touched on Ronnie, the possibility of when he was still with the Texans coming to the team if he was available. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, he is available. And to me, it's a smart signing by the Chargers. It doesn't mean that necessarily that Ronnie's going to be too much involved in the running game. You may see a little bit more of him in the 2-minute drill to when it comes where if the defense is pressuring Phillip and they need an extra body back there to block, you're going to see him in that regards, I think. But I think it was a very smart signing by the Chargers, and again, it's going to depend on what happens with Sean Drawn moving forward in these next couple of weeks until Ryan Matthews comes back. But I think that Ronnie has a realistic shot to be ultimately the third running back to the offense once you have Matthews, Oliver, and Brown back there.
Here's fun fact number 2 from Geppetto on the Twitter land. Someone on Twitter came up with the nickname Sprolbert.
Sprolbert. I like it. Can we get that trending with the hashtag?
Right? Hashtag Spinneroonie, hashtag Sprolbert. So let's jump over really quick back to the defense and the way Sean Lismore was just taking a whooping. He was really taking on 2 guys, and it was opening up the linebackers to get through and really get a good hand on the quarterback. I mean, he really played well in that game against the Jets.
Yeah, Sean Lismore. I'm happy that we're actually saying his name. We've talked about Corey Legit and Kendall Reyes most of the season already. But it's nice to talk to a guy who puts his nose down in the trenches and goes up against the center every single snap. Sean had a great game. He got pressure to the quarterback multiple times, registered a sack against Michael Vick, and he's going up against Nick Mangold, who's one of the best centers in the league. And he drew a penalty on that play where Mangold actually had his face mask, and he was able to fight that off and get the sack. He collapsed the pocket. He did an absolutely great job. And here's the kicker. He only played on 19 snaps of the entire game. So Pagano already has that rotation that he normally likes to do with his defensive line, rotating guys in and out. And for Lismore to be only playing on that limited amount of time and have that type of production in the game, I thought was great. And it just shows it a testament of how progressively this Chargers defense is growing and other guys are getting into the fray. It's much like the offense. Last week we had the Eddie Royal show, And then this week it was right back to Antonio Gates. You really don't know who it is that's going to end up making that play for you. And when you can have impact players like that on the defensive side of the ball, where you have to put more concentration on, it's a great, great advantage for a defense to have going up against any offensive line.
Absolutely. Sam G, SD Fan 83, he says, "Effing thank you. Lismore has been doing some work." And I have to agree. I mean, really everybody on the defense, there hasn't been a weak point in this defense. I mean, sure, we had our hiccup there against, was it Buffalo when the guy got deep? There was a miscommunication there.
Right.
Aside from that, this team, this defense has been really dominant. They've been on.
Just before we let Jake talk, I wanted to say about Kivell Connor's play, and I don't think his name gets brought up enough. I think he's played like a beast. The guy's been all over the field. He's played great. To add what Josh is saying, the defense has just stepped up this year phenomenally. Secondary playing well. That way the guys up front can do their job, and as well the back end. So, yeah, I mean, some of these guys you don't talk about too much, but they're the unsung heroes of this year's defense.
One more point really quick, Jake, before you move on with your conversation here. SoCal Trav in the chat room on Spreaker, Jarrett Johnson's hit was the hit of the week. It was a BS flag in his opinion. It was in the course of a sack attempt. Refs are pussies. Surprised Gino walked away. I sat down 4 rows from the field and heard that hit. Hashtag boom.
Hashtag Spinnerini.
You know, it's funny because where I was sitting, I couldn't tell exactly what happened because that play took place on the opposite side of the field. But when I got home and watched it, not only was it a completely legal play and a flag should not have been thrown, but, man, I mean, you talk about acceleration times force equals that. That was stupendous.
That set the tone.
By Jarrett Johnson.
It was pretty amazing that Geno Smith was able to get up from that because he rocked his helmet right off. I thought that maybe his head was still inside that helmet when it was rolling around on the field.
Sleepy Hollow style, I got you.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the O-line? How's the O-line been playing?
O-line's another testament to the run game having its success against the number one defense. I mean, you know, it's a unit that is beat up and down to its fourth center now along the offensive line. You have Fluker and Troutman that both go out during the game, and you rotate in Chris Watt and Willie Smith, and you're rotating Chris Watt between center and guard for some pieces of the game. And again, to go out there and as a unit still understand what your job is to do, protect the quarterback and create running lanes for your running back, it was a great, great effort. And it just goes to show that I really think that the offensive line is Mike McCoy's unsung heroes, aside from Phillip Rivers. You know, he won't talk about, guys, too much other than the ones that have, like, the big games. But I truly believe that he really has a soft spot in his heart for his offensive line, just because I think he spends a little bit more time with them, rotating them throughout positions to where each guy can come in and play 2 or 3 different offensive line positions should an emergency ever occur. And in this case, there has been a gigantic emergency for it.
Call the National Guard.
Yeah, exactly. But you're seeing what that type of coaching and what that type of practice does for you in the long haul, because ultimately throughout the NFL, injuries are going to happen. But you never really have a guy who can come in there and be that versatile and play 2 types of positions, where McCoy has taken that extra time in training camp to coach up every single offensive lineman that he's had. I mean, you had guys in training camp who were the third stringers that were rotated onto the starting line to protect Phillip Rivers. Again, that is a huge, huge coaching move to do that is paying dividends right now in the middle of the season when you need it most. And it's just, in a situation like that with offensive linemen that are going down and stepping up, when you don't know whether or not you're going to be coming onto the field, it was just a great collective job as a unit, and my hat's off to them.
Yeah, I think the offensive line, I mean, it's been difficult to
fathom.
Not fathom, but just evaluate them, because there's so many moving parts every single week. There's a new player coming in, and we don't know how much of it is, just being a cohesive unit, and how much of it is just the inability to get the job done. So, none of us are coaches. We don't have, that kind of football background, but.
What are you talking about, Kevin Acey?
But just as a fan, it's hard to find, was it really the offensive line? Was it something else? So, I mean,
there's no continuity is what you're saying.
It's good seeing them be successful, because it shows that, again, they're just doing their job. And if they do their job, we can find success at all positions, really, not just the offensive line.
One quick, and this is off topic, but do you guys realize that Twitter's been around for 8 years? And in that time span, no one's ever been able to tweet the Raiders are in the playoffs? You guys realize that?
Well, happy anniversary, Twitter and Oakland Raiders. Yes. That was a missile launch to Oakland.
Back to the O-line, and you did touch on it before, but now this is both spring training so far for McCoy, or preseasons, excuse me. I always mix up the baseball and the football. We really did a lot of talking about how much he bounced guys around on the offensive line, and he had everybody playing separate positions. And I know you mentioned that before, and I'm kind of repeating that, but it's really, really paid off last season, and even more so this season, how we have just offensive line full of really, really versatile players.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about, our running struggles these last couple of games, we kind of were on the flip end side of it, of saying, well, you need that continuity. You need a group of guys who, have to, gel together, spend time together, and, be able to learn what the other one's going to do, especially from a center position. And having, Chad Reinhardt and Johnny Troutman play with a different center, both to their right and left, respectfully, and having, the guy who's ultimately calling out protection signals. We had talked about how that just takes time to get used to. And again, in a situation where you have offensive linemen dropping left and right with no continuity, you have guys that step up, and the offensive line does not miss a beat. And it was just a great thing to see that basically proved our comments last week wrong. And it's nice to be proved wrong in that sense, because it just shows you how these guys can come together and make something work on such a short time frame.
Jake, I got a two-part question. One, the first half is from @Geppetto on Twitter. He wants to know, in your opinion, has Fluker regressed this year?
No, I do not believe so.
And secondly, have you heard anything on Fluker as far as his injury? I mean, I heard he was on crutches late in the game. Have you heard what the what's going on as far as his injury? Is he going to be playing this week? What's the story with Fluker right now?
Fluker has an outside chance to play this week. And, of course, if he doesn't, Willie Smith is going to take his place at right tackle, which he did an admirable job at last week. Fluker is a gamer. If there's anything that we have learned about him in these 2 years that we've had him, he is an absolute gamer. And, Alabama, man, those guys, they fight till they die. So, if Fluker is even 50%, I guarantee you he's going to be coming to the coaches saying, I'm in. Put me in this game. And it may only be the coaches that are going to hold him out just to be, more safe than sorry. But Fluker did come back into the game after he did walk off last week. I think more of the crutch standpoint, while that doesn't look good to the naked eye, I think it was more on a precaution basis. Because Troutman also left in a boot, but there hasn't been any indication that, he's going to be missing the game or anything of that sort. So it may not be, that serious of an injury as it looked at. But, the Chargers are, if there's anything we have learned, the Chargers are a very conservative when it comes to their injuries. They don't want to make anything worse than it already is. So, but Fluker does have an outside chance to play. We'll see him these next 2 days for practice. I hope he does, because I think he makes the offensive line better, especially on the right side. No question about it. So we'll just have to wait and see come practice time.
Let's kind of continue the theme. Obviously we've had a lot of injuries, this season, and it's been a next man up philosophy. Well, I think you have something you need to say about Ricardo Matthews and his performance against the Jets.
Yeah, I actually love the fact that that Jason touched on the unsung heroes. Nobody talks about Ricardo Matthews. Hell, we barely even talked about Ricardo Matthews. A lot of people are wondering who the hell Ricardo Matthews actually is on this team. But
he's that big guy with all the hair.
Yeah, that guy.
The one dude.
What, Jaleel Adae? No, he's the other dude with the long hair. No,
Jason Verrett?
Yeah, that guy. Speaking of guys, we were a little bit shocked when Lawrence Guy was cut a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And Ricardo Matthews was, brought into the starting position because he was signed just before the season started. And we were thinking to ourselves like, okay, well, he's Lawrence Guy. He knows the system. He's a veteran in this type of case. What's that going to do for us up the middle? Well, he got more snaps than Sean Lismore did in the game, and he's only been playing actively for the last 2 weeks. Tenny Palpoy was actually the one who had the most snaps out of the defensive tackle position, and it was. Again, I've talked to Tenny all year. And I know he's going to have his day where we're going to be having a section on him to talk about on this show. But back to Ricardo Matthews, in 2 games, this guy has 4 tackles, 1 sack, and a forced fumble. That is an impact player to have on defense. That is showing that you have come to play, and he has a nasty streak to him. Whenever he's around, he always has a nose for the ball, and whenever a tackle is made, he gets up and he's pumping his chest, and he's got an attitude to him. And I think he's been invaluable for the rotation at that nose tackle position for Pagano to have. So again, another unsung hero, Indianapolis gem, brought over from Tom Telesco, yet again plugged in, and is able to make plays on the defensive side of the ball, and in a huge, huge way. So another unsung hero people start maybe needing to look at going forward, both from a fan perspective and an opposing team perspective moving forward.
I think he's one of those guys you just respect his hard work, and he doesn't need to have his name called, but it's good that we acknowledge him because he's the guy, like you said, his stats, you hear 4 tackles and you think, oh, okay, 4 tackles, big whoop. But for a guy playing his position, that's a lot. That's a big deal. And so just, we most of the time, a guy like that you hear for, a dumb penalty or kind of like an offensive lineman. You hear him do something dumb and you think, oh, why do I have to hear this guy's name? So he's one of those unsung heroes that, he's just doing his job and, it's kind of like no news is good news with him, outside of those great plays, the sack and the forced fumble.
Hey, really quick, Jake, one more question from Twitter sphere. Geppetto, he wants to know, what that train say, dog?
Whoop, whoop.
Fluke Joe. Somebody was telling me, I didn't see that. Somebody was telling me about that today at work about Fluker being mic'd up, and I'm actually going to go searching for that because I heard it's pretty awesome.
It's a can't miss.
Dude, if you watch the Brandon Flowers mic'd up,
yeah.
I think he says dog about 85 times.
Oh man, you know what the cool thing about that was, and I'm glad you brought that up. What a team player has Brandon Flowers become for this team, both for the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. Sitting there on the sidelines joking with Eddie Royal, talking about that he's got better hands than him, or when Brandon Oliver's going into the end zone and he says that he sees him. It's just he was so excited for all those moments, and it's not like one of the defensive linemen that are sitting back on the benches, getting their rest for air. He is all over the place with everybody, from the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball, hitting up Jared Johnson, getting psyched up when Antonio Gates gets a touchdown. That's just a little example, and he lets his play stand for it on himself for the field. But that's just a little bit of the energy that Brandon Flowers brings to the rest of the team. I just thought that was great.
Is that a hashtag contract year?
Yeah.
Oh.
He
better dial it up if he wants to get paid.
I'm not thinking that. That's a damn well better be hashtag.
I know he's been playing great, but, there's some motivation behind KC cutting him. It's huge. It lies on his shoulders to play well in San Diego, too.
We're going to see that motivation in 2 weeks when we play Kansas City.
We'll
I've been extremely, extremely satisfied with the play of Brandon Flowers. He's got 2 interceptions on this season. He's just blanketing receivers. He's hitting people really hard. Actually, Jake, I don't know if you heard it or not, but I called into 1360 and gave a shout out to Mike Costa for joining us, and I asked him about Brandon Flowers, and he's like, that was Tommy Telesco's steal of the offseason.
Yeah, it really was. And what was funny is that the media, as much as they don't really talk about San Diego, but, during the free agency period where they like to talk about a lot of big signings, nobody really talked about that signing that much. And whenever you heard, the Monday Night Football guys or the Sunday morning guys talking about, who did a good job in free agency? And when they'd say that the Chargers really didn't bring anybody in that was a high-impact player. And it was only because Brandon had his worst year as a Chief last year, and that was coupled to a number of different things because Andy Reid had come in there and he had changed the system. He was also battling a few injuries, but he is tied right now in 5th for interception in the league. He's 14th for pass breakups. When you can do that to a defense in a first year in a transition, coming over to a new team, going back to your original position, there should be more terms for the word steal, in my opinion, and turning it into the impact that Brandon Flowers has done for this defense.
Speaking of Brandon Flowers and contract year and all that, is there any chance of the Chargers signing him to a contract extension before, or is he going to go free agent? Do you think there's any chance of that at all?
I think everything in this case is pointing upwards for both Brandon Flowers and the Chargers to get this deal done. Let's not forget, we are going to have one of the biggest salary cap spaces next year. I believe it's upwards of just a little over $40 million. So
that's crazy. That's awesome.
When it comes down to what they're going to do with Ryan Matthews moving forward, if hypothetically, if they do not keep him, the way that Brandon is playing, it's going to be hard for Tom Telesco to overlook the play that he's putting out right now. And it's funny that we're talking about this because this will be like the first really big time that Tom has had money to spend. And we all know that our former GM only wanted to pay players who produced on the field and didn't really take into that acknowledgement how much they really meant to the team and how valuable they were. It was you play from contract to contract. And that's not what I believe that Tom is going to do. I think he's going to be smart enough to see how valuable he is for this team. And, hey, I don't think anybody can argue the fact that he deserves a contract extension through 5 games. I'm saying give him the paper right now and put pen to it, and let's do this.
Hey, Jake, before we wrap this up, we got a couple minutes before we go to commercial. We got to have your prediction, man. Oakland Raiders on the docket this Sunday up in the black hole. What's your predictions, and who is going to be your standout?
I hate this game. I hate this game, and I know it's during Raider week, and with the way that the Raiders are right now, and with as hot as the Chargers are playing right now, that I should be excited. But this is the only things that are bumming me out. We all know that if the Raiders were to go 1-15, if that one game that they won was against the Chargers in their own house, they wouldn't care about any of the rest of their games. They would not care with the record that they played. And we saw it last year with Terrell Pryor, the way that how the Chargers came out flat, the crowd was going berserk, the Raiders team was playing out of their minds. They just didn't care. And historically, even if the Chargers have won, we come out bumped and bruised with at least 2 or 3 guys. I can't remember. I think it was a couple years back. I think it was the last year that we had Jamal Williams. It was the opening game of the season, and I think it was 3 or 4 of our guys on defense alone just went down every single time. Oakland, if they do anything, they play the Chargers tough in a win or a loss. That is something that they do consistently. So going to Oakland always worries me a little bit, especially when you have a catalyst of firing Dennis Allen. You bring in Tony Sperano as your head coach. They do the whole ceremonial bury of the ball in the middle of the field. Sperano's kind of worked some different lockers around, switching people's positions in there to try and gain a different atmosphere to get them psyched up. it's just one of those things where you just never know, what's going to happen. Carr is coming back. He's practicing fully. They expect him to play. It's just one of those things where it's a major trap game that the Chargers are walking into with an 0-4 Raiders team with a new head coach that's desperate for its first win. That normally we've had these type of situations. Remember last year's when, a couple of years back when they had Hugh Jackson as their coach, Al Davis had just died. Or no, they weren't playing against the Chargers, but the Raiders were playing against somebody else, and they went out there and they absolutely wiped the floor with that team. Right. So it's just those little things that you need, and this is true for any team, I think. Any of those little things. The Kansas City had it a couple of years ago when, I can't remember what the player was now, but when he committed suicide.
Belcher, I think
yes.
it was.
Thank you. And they went out there and they won that game when Kansas City was one of the worst teams in the league.
Right.
And so it's just those little things that you need to collectively bring you together as a team. And when it's all of these things wrapped into one, that just has you down for 4 weeks.
That burying the football thing really has me scared.
Yeah.
I just wonder when they buried the football, did they dig up their Super Bowl ring?
Yeah.
Hey, Jake, did you? I mean, not to keep you too long, but did you hear how pathetic that was? He asked the team. He goes, hey, you guys can, throw some dirt on it. If you don't, then I guess it's okay. If you do,
I know, it should,
it's
gave them
weird.
the option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. I was kind of like, well, why? You're a head coach. Why are you giving them the option to throw dirt on it? I would think it would be like, everybody needs to throw dirt on it right now.
What an embarrassment.
Like a drill sergeant. But he dumps a little bit of dirt on it, and he says, well, so I put the first thing of dirt in, and if you guys want to dump the rest in there, you can. And he walks away. It's just like you don't see Sperano the rest of the time that the team's putting dirt on the field.
What a joke!
I gotta go get my Subway sandwich, but you guys can dump the rest of the dirt on the football.
I have a head coaching paycheck waiting for me.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Jake. So, as always, we appreciate you joining the show. Did you give us a number, by the way?
Given us a score
What's
yet.
the score?
Give us a score.
But I'll go ahead and I'll give you a number, and I will bring the mood back up because of what Antonio Gates said earlier this week. They are preparing for the Oakland Raiders as if it was the Seattle Seahawks going into the Super Bowl. That's all I needed to hear.
Yes.
And for that, I think the Chargers keep the wheels going. I'm going to say 28-10, Bolts roll.
Nice.
Attaboy.
You heard it here from Jake Hefner from BoltBeat.com. Jake, as always, we thank you for being a part of our show. Till next week, my friend.
Absolutely, gentlemen. You guys have a great week. Looking forward to a win, and talking to you guys next week.
Later, buddy.
Thanks, Jake.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking some Raiders football, so dial up the phone line, 619-866-4567. Do it!
How about them Chargers? Know they talk you Super Bowl. How about them Chargers? You know they on the road again. Well, his name is LT, a true MVP. You know we'd love to live.
Are you looking for a bar for your next sporting event? Come to Cali Comfort Sports Bar in the heart of Spring Valley, where they are passionate about sticking to the true barbecue traditions. Using their unique low and slow method, you are guaranteed great barbecue no matter what you order. From pulled pork to tri-tip, football to MMA, Cali Comfort is your one-stop shop for all your sports and barbecue needs. Find them online, CaliComfortSD.com. Do you need help with your business project that is due? Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging, from business cards to the bigger projects, SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right. Oh, let's just keep rolling with it.
Oh, turn it back up. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
It's Raiders week, baby.
We're dancing in the living room. We're throwing darts at Al Davis's face, and we're having a great time.
It is Raiders week. You know, this is like Christmas to me because, you know, it doesn't matter if the Raiders, well, they've never been good, in my opinion, in my lifetime. But you know, going into Oakland, as much as, you know, dominating here at Qualcomm would be nice, it's so much better to go up in the black hole and just completely embarrass them in front of their home crowd.
It is.
You know, unfortunately, we didn't do that last year.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big letdown last year. But I'm hoping for a repeat of the Jets matchup this Sunday in the black hole.
Yeah, the best part is, you know, these crazy Raider fans spend hours putting on mascara and makeup, and they
have to wake up at 3 just to get ready to go to the parking lot.
They get there and they go crazy for, you know, pregame and tailgating. They get in the stadium like an hour early and they get ready, and then 10 minutes into the game they're already lost.
Yeah, their mascara is running. I mean, their makeup looks horrible.
You watch them on TV and they're just sad. They're just like,
demoralized.
Yeah, it's great. It's beautiful.
It's great.
You know, a couple things from the chat room during the last segment. Darren had mentioned an unsung hero as Spanos to pick Telesco.
Right.
You know, to take a chance on a young GM, you know, with different ideas. And he also threw a shout out to Justin. I know him and Justin like to go back and forth a lot.
But what'd he say?
He gave Justin props because he said Brandon Flowers was everything that Justin said he was going to be when they signed him.
I appreciate it.
And I know Justin.
I don't even know how I got to go. I'm going to drop the mic, guys. See ya. Thanks, Darren. Maybe we should hang out and have a beer sometime.
I know you guys like to go back and forth, but
hey, we can agree once in a while, right?
Props. He's giving you props.
Thank
Don't
you, man.
worry. Next week they'll hate each other because they're the Chiefs.
Right.
Yeah. He's all, "Where's your Chiefs jersey, bro? Where's your Steve Bono jersey, huh? Where's that Bono jersey?"
Back in the chat room, SoCal Trav wants to see another Fluker slam this weekend against
absolutely.
I can play that
Raiders.
YouTube video all day long and laugh my ass off.
That was
Isn't
awesome.
Great?
That was every one of those 15 yards was worth it. I don't care.
It was great.
Yeah, I'll take 15-yard penalties for that all day long.
That's funny because I watched the video today for the first time in a long time. I see it a lot on Twitter. I don't check it every time. But I watched it today, and I was just thinking, I'm just watching, like, how the hell did they get the guy up? And I see it, I'm like, oh, yeah. That's so beautiful.
I think when you rolled down memory lane with the Raiders, for me, just to throw this out here, whenever I think of Raiders-Chargers, I just think of LT doing his patented hand flip in the end zone, at the end zone where the black quote-unquote hole is with the guys with the mascara on, and he flips it right at him, and he's getting piled on with beers, hot dog wrappers. It's amazing.
You know, I've been waiting to ask Darren this, and I hope he can call in at 619-866-4567 and explain this. But Tiffany kind of told me a story not too long ago. They've been friends a long time now. And she said that Darren actually had a pair of Raider sweatpants that he used to wear when he was a kid. So I'm curious to know, where that came about. I mean, was it just a gift that he was just kind enough to wear, or was he a Raider fan back in the day?
Maybe they were in his stocking one year.
Wow.
Maybe they were on sale somewhere.
So, that's right, because they've been...
and they're one of those loners that give you at school.
Like a thrifty mart? Yeah.
We got a phone call coming in. What up, SoCal Trav? Welcome to the San Diego Sports Junkies.
What's up, guys?
What's up, brother?
Trav, man.
We had a great time with you out at Qualcomm.
Yeah, what's that? I didn't hear it. What was that?
He said thanks for had a good time out at Qualcomm with us.
Dude, it was fantastic.
Yeah, he wanted to thank you for the strippers and the cocaine.
Yes.
I'm glad you guys like the G-strings I bought you.
The problem is every time I put mine on, it disappears.
Oh, that's
awesome.
terrible.
Wow.
So what's on your mind, Trav?
Well, they had a bolt down there, so they should charge you pretty good.
Oh, man.
So SoCal Trav, let's talk some Raiders football.
Oh, those guys. Okay.
What do you think, man? What do you think going into this matchup? Are you scared of anybody on the Raiders, and do you think they will pose a threat in any way to the San Diego Superchargers?
I'm more scared of their fans than the crowd than the players. They don't have anybody. Yeah. I mean, they have nobody. I mean, and our team is going to dominate on both sides of the ball. I mean, look at the potential matchup: Keenan Allen against Charles Woodson. Really?
Right.
Who doesn't want to be there?
I mean,
You know, and he burned Sherman. You know damn well he's going to burn Woodson.
Right.
You know, the Chargers recently have a history of coming out a little bit flat against lesser teams. Now, of course, this season that has not been happening at all. They've been thoroughly dominating teams that they should be thoroughly dominating. Do you think that that's a permanent change? Do you think that we're going to be seeing the same thing, or do you think that there's a chance of them maybe slipping a little bit this week against the Raiders?
I think out of all the games we play, all 16 games of the season, the game up there, I think, is the most important to the Chargers organization, just because they're our in-state rival, and they brag about their championships from the last century.
Right.
And I think everybody's kind of getting sick of it, and I think that is the most important game we play all year long, up in the black hole.
Trav, after Sunday last week, the question I think I got most on Twitter was, can you explain to everybody what it means, because I can? You know what I'm talking about. Why? Because you can. What can you do, Trav?
Dude, I can wrap up Chargers girls in the parking lot and smile good.
Wrestle them in the dark, would you?
If you haven't seen it, go follow at SoCal Trav on Twitter and scroll through his pictures, and you'll see exactly what he's talking about. You know,
because he can.
Because he can.
Chime on the timeline.
Because you can, SoCal Trav. We need your prediction, buddy. We need to know what SoCal Trav thinks the Chargers are going to do up in the black hole.
Well, considering we just shut out the best rush defense in the NFL over the weekend, and the Raiders have no defense, I think it's going to be a good mix of tricks on the running and on the passing game this weekend, especially with Oliver now. We know we have a running back again. I'm going to go 37-6.
Ooh, nice. No division threat there.
The Raiders, well, you've got...
Is that because they score a touchdown and Janikowski misses the extra point?
No, that's 2 field goals.
Okay, just want to make sure. Just want to make sure.
Janikowski is their only scoring weapon on the entire team.
Yeah, that's their weapon. They might get 9 points just because
I thought he retired.
So, SoCal Trav, as always, man, we want to thank you for everything that you do. You're one of our biggest advocates, whether it's on Twitter, getting our name out there, showing up at our live podcast at Qualcomm. Hopefully we can see you down at Cali Comfort here pretty soon. But we want to thank you for everything that you, Big Brian, and the rest of the Die Hard Bolt Club do for us.
Well, we appreciate it. We love you guys, man. It's a big family, and we just got to keep it real, keep it going, and drive for the Super Bowl.
Yes,
Arizona.
Sir.
We started in Phoenix. Let's end in Phoenix.
I agree.
And really quick, Trav, I want to tell you. First of all, I want to shout out the Die Hard Bolt Club on Twitter. If you're not following, what's wrong with you? You should be by now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And secondly, man, let you know, I did an article about the Die Hard Bolt Club recently, and I think it's already in our top 5 articles of all time.
Wow.
So it's been a huge hit, man. People are really, we're spreading the word for you guys, and we appreciate all you guys do for us.
Yeah, I mean, Brian came to Juan and I about it, and we chatted about it, and we're like, let's go for it. I mean, we haven't been up and running for a week yet. We've already got over 500 followers in less than 5 days.
And I heard you guys have a special follower. Can you tell everybody who that is?
We have the greatest, if not, I say one of the greatest, if not the greatest Chargers players in history following it at Die Hard Bolt Club. That's LaDainian Tomlinson.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
That's sweet.
That's awesome, man.
That's sweet.
So you know what that means, SoCal Trav. You know what that means, right?
You got to get him on our show.
You got to get him on the show.
Yeah, you got to talk to Juan about that. Juan's got an inside sliding scoop somewhere. I don't know how he does it, but he's like a sports agent, but not a sports agent.
I don't know. I think Juan's a little too feminine. I mean, he enjoyed it when you were standing behind him in the picture there.
Yeah, I saw that big smile cheek to cheek on his face.
All right, SoCal Trav, we're gonna let you go and open up the phone lines. But again, thank you as always for everything that you do, and keep chiming in each and every week, man.
All right, we'll see you guys if you guys are down there for the Chiefs game in a couple weeks.
All right, man.
Thanks, Trav.
See you guys.
All right, bye.
So that's going to open up our phone line, 619-866-4567, if you want to talk some Chargers Raiders Week 6.
It doesn't look like he's going to call in, but he did respond in the chat room. Darren responded to the Raider sweatpants controversy. He said, never. She is wrong. So he said, apparently he's calling your wife a liar. He said, she is wrong. My dad would never
do us part.
My dad would never allow Raider shit in our house.
I think she can take them, so I'm staying on her side.
Yeah.
Geppetto in the chat room, he wants to know, what do you guys expect to see from Vincent Brown and Brandon LaFell? Second part, will Verrett and Brandon Flowers lock them down?
Well, I think you see a big game out of Vincent. I mean, as in 2 catches, 4 yards. I think Derek Carr will not even get him. He'll try to get him the ball. He knows how big of a game this will probably be for him,
right.
Being a native San Diegan. Yeah, I don't see a huge game by Vincent Brown. If we can lock down some of the better wide receivers in football at this point in the time, I don't see. They don't have a lot of weapons, guys. Let's be very honest.
Has Vincent Brown played that? I think
he played sparingly last week. Was his first time of action. I want to say last week was his first game. This week he'll probably be sprinkled in more. He's got the ability. But can Derek Carr, if Derek Carr even plays, I don't even know if he's playing.
It looks like he's going to
play.
Right,
okay, so if he gets him the ball,
for at least a quarter,
we'll see what happens. And
so
he's a mobile guy, too.
He had 3 receptions for 22 yards against the Dolphins.
Okay.
Chat room here.
Darren, if you guys don't know Darren's, Josh's wife's name is Tiffany. It's been thrown out there in the chat room now. It says, tell Tiffany to keep her hungry eyes off my sweatpants.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Wow. It's getting real.
Hashtag controversy. Jerry.
I got another this week. The Raider hater.
The Raider hater.
He's I love it.
The Raider hater.
He sent me a couple questions for the show. We touched upon some of them, but one of the questions that he wanted to get answered was, if you guys had to pick, is our D or our O, that's our bread and butter?
I have to go with the defense this year. You have to hang your hat on good defensive play. We've shown that we can handle some of the better competition this year already. So for me, it's the defense. Has to be.
What do you guys think?
We already know about the offense. I mean, I just hang our hat on our defense this year.
Yeah, I think it has to go to the offense. The reason why the defense, I apologize. I think the reason that Phillip Rivers and the offense has had so much success is because the defense keeps turning the ball over to them.
Short fields.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I agree. Actually, also, I think we're all used to the offense playing well.
We're
and
so happy to see.
Not only is the defense playing good, or the defense playing decent, or the defense playing okay, the defense is playing dominating, and this defense is carrying our team. And with all these offensive line injuries and these running back injuries, we still always will have Phillip Rivers. As long as we have Phillip Rivers, our offense still has a chance. But it's our defense that's keeping us in these games.
Right.
And except for the first game of the season, where I think they we're still trying to figure things out, because our offense really didn't get rolling the first game. Our defense has just been absolutely dominating this year, absolutely dominating. And how long has it been since we saw that?
Yeah. Well, the Merriman days, 06, 07.
I'm going to go actually against the grain. I just think the offense has been so spectacular. There's a reason why Phillip Rivers is being named as an early season MVP favorite.
Right.
I thought it was a great question because we really it's not like one clear cut answer.
Right.
But I think Phillip Rivers has been so dominant.
Yes.
That I have to go to the offense.
Yeah.
Another question on Twitter here. Sam G1383 asks.
What's up, Sammy?
I know we're all giving due credit to Oliver, but are we not giving enough credit to Reich for different run plays? What do you guys think? I mean, do you think a lot of us play calling, or was it personnel?
You remember in the first game, we had contradicted Frank Reich's play calls a little too conservative at times, right? Mm-hmm. Because it was his first game under the helm as offensive coordinator, first one. We kind of questioned him a little bit.
We even questioned him in the Buffalo game.
Right, but we did. But there have been more better moments now that we've seen him over a better size of sample. We look there and we go, okay, well, this is how he's going to call a game now. We don't have to worry about being too concerned. I think he knows the right mix now That first game, we were a little hesitant. Now we're seeing what Frank Reich's mind and ability can do with Phillip Rivers. I really do.
I don't know necessarily. I do know I did see them run one sweep, which was a successful run, which was nice. I know everybody always gets upset whenever you run it up the middle, and they say, oh, they should stop running up the middle. They should stop running up the middle. But you can't run sweeps every single play. And if you mix them in, every once in a while, they're going to be successful. One thing that we need to pump the brakes a little bit. Oliver had a good game. We had a much better running day, but let's remember he had that 50-yard run and he had that 50-yard reception, which he looked fantastic at the end, but that was all Phillip Rivers. That 50-yard reception was all Phillip Rivers making that happen and threw at him, and he had nobody, Now, he made the extra 10 yards at the end, made that guy miss and stuff, but he had a good game, but 100 of those yards were on 2 plays, know. So he still got those yards, but let's pump him a little bit,
Cisco in the chat room says that he thinks that Frank Reich is getting to know his players and what they can do, and that's why the offense has been so successful.
Definitely, and in giving the reins to Phillip a little more this year, even more so than with Wisenhunt last year. It's getting more comfortable for everybody. Yes, it's an overall group effort here, and you just see the both of them growing each week. It blows my mind, and I keep hearing it on the local affiliates. People talking to different players about what Phillip actually does at the line is so impressive to them that players that have been on other teams, they can't even tell you how impressive it is to see Phillip act as a coach up there and dissect a defense to let his players know where they need to be for this coverage.
They're talking about, remember when he got up to the line, he's yelling out 80, 80, and
Delta.
I love it when you have announcers who can explain stuff like that. They said, that right there is a protection call. That's what he's doing, is he's calling out a protection call. And
he's not calling out M8, he's getting the ball.
Right, and you got to
Keenan.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, he's
Gatesy.
It kind of reminds me of back when Jake Peavy was a Padre and he was pitching so good. He was so hot, and you could watch him staring in, shaking him off, and then just saying fastball. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah, no, because
seeing that.
he knew they couldn't hit it.
And he just, it's so funny when he's just shouting out, Keenan. You're right. It's really funny. It's so nice to see everything going so well, but with all the injuries, not missing a beat. You know, other guys are just stepping in.
It's been a fluid motion here.
One side note really quick, and Geppetto just brought it to my attention, and I totally agree. And he says, fuck the Dodgers. Thanks for answering my questions.
And the Angels, for that matter. Who cares?
And Darren in the chat room gave us his he says pump the brakes, fellas.
Hashtag pump the brakes.
Jets D quit in the second half.
It looked like it. Sure did.
Yeah, they certainly
they look pathetic, actually.
I don't know necessarily. I'm not quite ready to say that they quit. I think that they started to
look defeated already.
Get defeated.
They did.
Yeah, they started to get defeated. But one thing about their offense, as horrible as their offense played, I think their offense didn't quit.
Yeah.
I just think that our defense was really good.
It was.
I think that their offense they were trying to score. They were doing everything they can, especially when Vic came in there. He doesn't want to come in there and start sucking ass. He did not want to play bad.
Well, let's remind Darren that they are an NFL team as well, and they get paid on the other side of the ball, and those guys have a lot of pride.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was gonna say that.
So let's not pump the brakes too much. Let those anti-lock brakes sink in there, and let's be conscientious of their professional athletes. They do not want to be embarrassed 31-0 on ESPN.
Yeah, I think that we. Our running game, I don't think one good week fixes our running game.
Darren says, hashtag keep Peavy off my favorite show.
Yeah.
Love Peeves.
Hey, really quick, Jason, I have a question for you. Do you ever do that to Darren? Do you ever go, whoa, Darren, you need to remember, these are customers.
Do you ever go into his cubicle?
These are customers.
Yeah.
Darren, pump the brakes.
Yeah,
they only need a bumper skin.
We work together, Darren and I, if you guys can tell. Although I do have the opportunity.
Don't sell them that spark plug at that price. Knock it off.
They're doing a bumper repair. They do not need a taillight.
Oh boy!
No, I don't take advantage of that.
I think that's what we're going to start hashtagging. Pump the brakes.
While we're at work, it's all professional.
Yes, sir.
You're a better man than I would be.
Yes,
that's fantastic, guys.
Oh man!
Cisco says the Jets' offense gave up on the plane ride over. I actually, as much as I love I love all the contributions. I actually disagree. I actually think that our offense was they just suck. I mean,
well,
honestly,
if you heard the reports, Gino missed all the meetings. He gave up before the
game. He missed the one meeting.
They went to a movie.
You forgot about time.
Him and 4 other guys went to a movie instead of showing up to the meeting.
I was going to tweet out, and Mike put it in his article. I was going to tweet out, does anybody remember when Chris Johnson was a good running back? But I did not want to fuck things up and have him blast off for 40 yards. So I kept that one. In the holster until the game was over.
Yeah, I will say something that's been in my mind with the Geno Smith thing, and that is, since he's been drafted, no one's ever thought this was a good move outside of New York.
Right.
Like I remember people sitting there being like, "Whoa, Geno Smith, this high, right?"
You hear what's going on this week now. The fans are calling for Tebow again.
Oh,
are you kidding me?
But here's a question for you guys: has any Jets quarterback survived in New York?
Yeah,
recently.
I
mean, really, if you look back, they really haven't had a solid quarterback since Vinny Testaverde.
Can you think of? I mean, he threw for like 47 yards or something and a half. I can't think of any quarterback in the NFL who couldn't throw for 47 yards. You know, I mean,
even AJ Manuel could throw for 47 yards.
The only reason they got across the 50-yard line is because of a stupid pass interference penalty, which I don't agree with.
No, when I saw that, I was thinking, wow, I guess tight coverage is against the rules.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I'd love to stand at midfield with Mike Wentz snapping me the ball. I would chuck one up to Malcolm Floyd and probably get 47 yards.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's how pathetic that is.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Now, I think it was a combination of we do have a very good defense and they have a very bad offense.
And Eric Decker's not going to help the situation.
No.
People in New York.
Brooklyn Decker will, though.
Yes, she'll ease the pain.
Save the tatas.
Exactly.
Yeah, breast cancer month.
Yeah.
Right. So let's get back on schedule here. The Jokeland Raiders this week. 0-6. Right? 0-6? 0-5?
0-5
off their bye week. 0-5 because the bye week beat them 34-3.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they scored.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, I mean, what do you guys think? What are you worried about this game at all? I mean, last year we went into Oakland and, there was some controversy. The game started extremely late, and we went in there and did not play to – or actually, we played down to our competition. Do you think the Chargers go into Oakland with a little bit of bad taste in their mouth and want to show that last year wasn't just some stupid fluke and they just want to go in there and dominate them? Or are we past that? Are we past that? Have we seen enough from this Chargers team to say, they're not going to play down to the competition anymore?
I'm going to answer the first of your many questions. and that is your question was, are you worried?
Sorry, Kevin.
And the answer is no. Who's next?
What I have for you, off of Mikey's note there, great analysis there.
Thank you. So don't call me Kevin Acey for nothing.
I hear you, Ace. But last year was fluky. It was kind of weird time. First game it was weird, right? This year. There hasn't been that sense of, we're going to play down to our competition. It's been focused on the goal at hand. Like I think it was Freeney or whoever said it earlier, Jake was mentioning. They're treating as this is the Seattle Seahawks.
That was Gates.
Okay, Gates in the AFC title game or the Super Bowl. That's the way it should be, weekly. These guys, these backup players know that they need to play well to stay on the roster and do their part to be on this team. So when you're telling me that our backups are beating teams like Seattle in certain weeks or Jacksonville, and you're beating starters in the NFL, that's very comforting to me. I think we smashed the Raiders this week. I really do. I think we put an ass-whipping exclamation point with hashtag Spinneroonie Sackos all over the place. I think Dwight Freeney has 3 sacks in this week. I mean, it's going to be an ass-whipping, guys.
Darren, if you're able to call in 619-866-4567, he says he worries about every game. He's got to respect these guys. I'd like him to elaborate a little bit more on why he'd be worried about the Oakland Raiders. I'm on board with
that. I worry about every game as well. I think that although
you guys are worrying me saying that.
This is a different team than we've had in the past few years, and I understand that. I just worry about we sometimes seem to get off to a little bit of a slow start. We play down to the competition, and this was in the past years, although the first game, same thing happened. The very first game this season, it was kind of like, oh my God, didn't we already play this last year? Now, ever since then, they've seemed to have turned it around, and I hope that keeps on going. But every game, I was worried a little bit about the Jets, to be honest with you.
I think we all were. We all were.
This is an NFL team, and you got to remember.
I knew that was coming.
We're laughing, but I'm serious, and I hope next week you guys are all saying, "God, I can't believe you are so worried about this. What an idiot! Look at how we killed him."
Yeah,
idiot. But in the NFL, the very worst team in the NFL is still a pretty damn good team. You know?
And I don't. Again, we do it a lot in jest because we're diehard Charger fans, we're homers,
and we hate the Raiders.
But there's some things that you think, okay, how I don't think that we're going to go ahead and just dominate every facet of the game. We might, but I don't think we're going to come out and the Raiders are just going to let us run all over them, and pass all over them. They're going to put up a fight.
Well, of course, it's a division game, as we tell Darren all the time. They get paid too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's going to be 48-0.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I think an ass whipping to me is a good score like a 28-3, 28-7, 28-10. That kind of ass whooping. Just up and down the field ass whooping.
I think we make it sound like we're going to just go up and down the field, take the ball whenever the hell we want out of their hands.
Right.
That's what we're making it sound like.
Right.
But obviously it's going to be a game. But, I still expect the Chargers to win handily.
They should.
And I expect that. Yeah. And like you said, a lot of that has changed. I think there's just a big culture change that you don't feel like we're gonna have a letdown anytime soon.
I agree, Mike. I totally have a different feeling about this team, and I think a lot of it has to fall on the defense and the fact that they are playing at such a elite level. I can say that. Statistically, it shows the Chargers defense is playing at an elite level, and I think because of that, you're not going to see those setbacks. You're not going to see us playing down to the competition because the offense is going to be there each and every week. You don't have to worry about that ever. With Phillip Rivers behind center, the offense is going to be there each and every week. I don't care who's injured. You can throw Justin and Mikey out there, and they'll go for 5 for 65 yards and a couple touchdowns if Phillip Rivers is throwing them the ball. I just think that the defense, the way that they've been playing, I just feel a comfort level with this team, and I don't think we're going to play down to the competition like we have in years past.
I agree.
Cisco's jumped in with his prediction for the game, and I invite everybody else in the chat room, throw out your predictions and tell us what you think this final score is going to be. Cisco says San Diego 24, Oakland 10.
See you, Cisco. Thanks for joining us tonight,
thanks,
man.
Cisco.
Darren says guys on the Raiders have big houses too, and
that's true.
It's because they're overpaid.
They've already called in for their AARP cards. Yeah. They're almost retired, most of them now.
So they have pride, and
of course they do.
That
pride doesn't win you football games.
Can I read you guys a quote?
Talent
real quick?
does.
Can I read you a quote?
Yeah.
Let me read this quote to you guys.
Just from Al Davis? Just win, baby?
It says, "We suck. That's about as blunt as I can put it. I'm embarrassed for this team. I'm embarrassed for the fans. And the thing is, I'm a part of it." Charles Woodson after week 2 loss.
That's awesome. They'll be saying that after Keenan Allen Burns before touchdowns.
But they buried the football, so.
That's the same football, right?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. To me, I think Florida State could beat the Raiders at this point.
See, I think when people say stuff like that, I think
it's an ignorant. Yeah, it's an ignorant statement.
Well, I just think it's ridiculous.
But they're probably the worst team in football. But the Jaguars would beat the Raiders.
I don't know. We just played the Jets, and they look pretty pitiful.
Yeah, but they have a better defense than the Raiders.
I think in this league, it's a passing league.
Cisco says that those big houses are called prisons.
Nice, Cisco.
That's awesome.
They
are the Raiders.
For Cisco's lack of contribution today was very minimal, but that just put over the top.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was like an hour's worth of conversation in the chat room because of that comment alone. Good job, bud.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I want to remind you, if you haven't been catching on, we've been doing a lot of shows now on Sunday. We're trying to hold our predictions for that point, kind of break down the game a little bit more. We leave this third segment really open to the fans. Obviously, we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk a little bit about the previous week's matchup as well. But this is the time for you to join in the chat room and Twitter. Calling into the show again. Jot down this number, 619-866-4567, and it will be available to you every third segment of every week. But this Sunday, between 9 and 10 a.m., we're going to have our pregame show. So, I hope we have you guys joining in. I know a lot of you fantasy freaks are going to be glued to the television screen, and, I think I will as I'm doing the show. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Between 9 and 10 this Sunday, we'll be breaking down a little bit about this Raiders matchup and giving you our predictions.
We're going to be consistently doing now a Sunday pre-show, whether it's from
via phone.
We'll have guys calling in on the phone, or we will be on location like we've been the last 2 weeks down at Qualcomm. We'll be doing some of them from Cali Comfort. We've actually been trying to hook up some other locations to do them from as well. But the key is we're going to be doing them every Sunday because it's kind of fun to talk about the game right before it happens. So we're hoping to have you guys join in and be part of it. It's going to be this Sunday from 9 to 10 in the same place that you find us every single Wednesday.
Absolutely. And SoCal Trav chiming in towards the end here. It's a Halloween costume party in the Black Hole.
Every single Sunday.
Every single Sunday.
Wow. Yep. Balloon nuts for everybody.
And this week it's special because the Raiders will be dressed up as a bunch of jokers on the field.
Shots fired.
That's all right. They can't catch those shots or return them.
This guy's on a roll. Hashtag Spinneroonie.
Oh, man. Oh, speaking of Aztecs, you realize, guys, that we're only about 2 weeks away from Aztecs basketball?
If you hear this, guys, that's me clapping in appreciation for Aztec basketball.
Yeah, we're actually November 1st is the first scrimmage exhibition game. I will be there. And
I'll be there. Kevin Acey will be on the sidelines reporting live.
I think we all need to be there, including you, Jason.
Yeah.
And then November.
He's got to get to a game.
November 8th is, I believe, the ESPN 48 hour of basketball.
Yes, March. It's the madness.
I'm already feeling ill for that day at work.
Hey, I'll be your date. Let's do this thing.
You know what?
What? Oh, you can't afford me?
I can't afford you.
Oh, that's all right, bro. I am high class.
I can't run out the limo this week. That week. It's a weekday.
I only drink juice boxes.
SoCal Trav's drinking some gin and juice right now. He says, "Do the show from Deja Vu."
Yeah.
Deja Vu, if you're listening.
Hey, you're the only one showing girls.
This sports breaking news from San Diego Sports is brought to you by Deja Vu
because we can.
Nightclub.
Because we can. Yeah. But no, Aztec basketball, man. I can't wait. Got a lot of articles coming for that. We got 14 articles right before the season. So if you're an Aztec fan, look for that. Every day before the season starts, we're going to start pumping these articles out. Get your opinions. My favorite part is, of course, predicting the season.
Yes.
Love
season preview show will be coming up soon. Give it a couple weeks here. I mean, we'll be blasting off soon. So we're kicking in full gear with Aztec Talk coming up in probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, when the Aztec basketball was when we were doing the show, you weren't part of the show during Aztec basketball, were you?
No, I wasn't. So this will be my first time doing the articles, doing the show with you guys.
Which is great. I mean, no offense to Jason, but it was like the Justin and Josh show, and Jason would try to give his opinion here and there.
Right. I don't follow him as close as you guys do.
I think he should this year. I think he should follow him just a little bit closer.
But I started
one of the junkies.
End,
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Towards the end, Jason was actually watching more games. He was getting more into it.
I was following him real tight towards the end.
He realized what's going on. I mean, you're not just a top 25 team in the nation for no reason, and it's fun to watch. It really is. People need to understand that.
And then this year, Jason, you have the chance to read all the articles, and we're doing a player profile for all 13 scholarship players.
Yeah. Nice.
So I'm going to give you what my predictions on what I think their future is going to look like, and whether it means NBA.
And check out the articles there, and then also I'll be running the Aztec. I'll be getting Mikey's input too. We're going to be running the Aztec men's basketball page. That's going to be blowing up this year. I'm going to make it. We're going to really do that thing up right. So we're going to have up-to-date news. All the articles will be on there. We're going to put out weekly polls. It'll be a lot of fun to interact with Aztec basketball because it's more games. You get 2-3 games a week. Wednesdays, Saturdays. So it's a lot of fun during the season. So we're going to have that to look forward to.
And guys, I don't want you to forget either. Our website provides a lot of blogs, information, our shows obviously, but don't forget about the forum. We have that forum that's there for the fans. So whether we're a part of the conversation or not, it's your ground. Log in.
Start a new topic.
Talk Aztecs. Talk Chargers. Talk Padres. You can
talk anything.
You can talk U.S.
politics.
You can talk USD. I mean, we're nothing but a bunch of fans talking San Diego sports. So feel free to start any topic, any conversation. If you want to open up a forum for a game, maybe you're watching an Aztec basketball game and you want to open up a forum yourself and invite all your friends, do it.
Yeah, bring them on in, interact, man. That's what the site's for, and especially this podcast. So definitely looking forward to Aztec basketball.
So, guys, I think we're going to close out the show here. We want to thank everybody for interacting in the chat room. Been a very successful show. We thank you guys all in Twitter as well. Each and every week we're here Wednesday at 7 o'clock, so feel free to join us each and every week. Don't forget also to join us this Sunday between 9 and 10 a.m. for our pregame show as the Chargers take down the Oakland Raiders. Guys, this is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans.
By the fans.
We are out, guys. Thank you for listening to the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans, by the fans. Brought to you by Cali Comfort, home of the Low and Slow Barbecue, and SK Digital Imaging, with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eitzmo, and Mike Maciejewski. Subscribe to us on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, and on iTunes. Visit SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com for all your Chargers, Padres, and Aztecs news.